Off the back of this ceasefire between Hezbollah and Israel, there is, as you mentioned, a renewed focus on Gaza. Now, we've heard from the Biden administration saying that there will be a renewed push from the White House to try and secure some sort of peace deal between Hamas and Israel. We've been hearing from Hamas officials as well, who have said that they are prepared to coordinate with mediators to go to the negotiating table once again. But there is, has to be said, little hope around the progress that can be made given the continued stalling that we have seen in these peace talks. Hamas once again coming out with a statement reiterating the very same points that they have reiterated time and time again with regards to what they want to see in a ceasefire deal. They want to see an end to the hostilities in Gaza. They want to see a full withdrawal of Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip, and they want to see all displaced persons within the Gaza Strip. Of course, the majority of civilians now in Gaza have been internally displaced. They want to see them being freely allowed to return to their homes, and of course, crucially, what they deem to be a fair prisoner hostage exchange deal. So these are very similar to what we've continued to hear from Hamas officials in the past with regards to that ceasefire negotiation. But again, the White House's assessment at this stage, we've heard from both Biden and the National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, is that now Hamas is more isolated. Of course, Hezbollah has, from the outset of hostilities across the Lebanese border, tied its military activities with the cause in Gaza. They've said they want to see an end to the aggressions in Gaza, and that this would then trigger an end to hostilities with Israel and Hezbollah. Of course, we are now seeing a ceasefire. So how that changes things in terms of Hamas's calculations, that remains to be seen. But as you mentioned, there is still that diplomatic effort. Of course, we've heard from Qatari officials in the past saying that they believe that neither party has acted in good faith, but we are still seeing officials in the region stepping up, including now Turkey, which has said President Erdogan saying that he is now prepared to play a part in any sort of mediation process between Hamas and Israel. And of course, this comes as the situation in Gaza grows increasingly desperate. We say this time and time again, I've said this repeatedly now, but it is getting more desperate with each passing day, particularly now as we enter the winter months. Many of those that have been displaced are sheltering in these makeshift tents, many of them pushed to the coastal area, particularly around the Al Mawasi coastal area, which had been deemed a humanitarian zone. But of course, we've seen that targeted in the past, but they are now facing rain, storms, very bad weather. It is freezing cold, and many of them don't have adequate shelters or protection from the weather. And of course, limited aid getting in as well, particularly in northern Gaza, where the UN has said it continues to see its efforts to get aid to the north impeded by the Israeli military's activities. So a huge amount of concern, mounting diplomatic pressure. But again, it remains to be seen how this may play into the calculations of both Hamas and Israel when it comes to trying to get to the negotiating table again.